Hello everyone and welcome to Metro Matters. I'm Mary Sitt. Our next guest is Metro's new Chief of Police. Vera Bumpers is the agency's first female police chief and first African American police chief. Welcome Vera to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Okay, you have been here for 30 years at Metro.
Yes.
And you started as
An officer.
yeah. And worked your way up the ranks and now you have the top posts. How did you do that?
What I did was just stay focused. I made myself learn everything I could about Metro, not only the police side, but the operation side. Talked to people, stayed engaged, stayed focused on the goal of just being a good officer here. It wasn't in my dreams to become the chief, but I wanted to just be the best officer that I could be.
Do you remember when you were a youngster, did you have that moment, aha moment of, I want to grow up and be a police officer?
I didn't. I wanted to grow up and help people. My goal was to really be on the other side of law enforcement.
Social work?
Yes, social work. And when I graduated from college, a friend of mine came to Houston and he started at Metro Police, and he called me and asked, do you want to come to Houston? Not thinking about law enforcement, he said, you can come to Houston and work at Metro. When I came, it was security. It wasn't law enforcement. So once we changed over a year later, I just stayed with it. He really encouraged me, said he saw something in me, and so I will be forever indebted to him for seeing something in me that I didn't see in myself.
What did this friend say to you that made you realize, maybe I want to do law enforcement, not just be on the other side?
Right. He said that you can still help on the law enforcement side. It's not always about putting people in jail.
You know, you are the first female, as we said in the intro, and the first African American police chief Metro's ever had. So you're basically like a role model, whether you want to be or not. Can you tell me what it's like to be in that kind of position? And you were the first in everything you got promoted to, the first lieutenant, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first
Right.
female lieutenant,
Mm-hmm.
first African American,
Right.
all the way up. Can you tell me what has that been like for you?
It's been very interesting. I didn't think about it until people brought it to my attention. And then I realized that there's a responsibility that I have now to say and talk about and encourage others, let my story be an encouragement to someone else. I always tell people that really more is caught than taught.
Did you ever feel like you had to be a little more assertive? You know, because if you were just the lone female in the group sitting there in the meeting, no one would pay attention to you? Or was that even an issue? Or did you just, you know, your own personality and just you did what you wanted to do? I mean, what would you advise other women who are minorities in their field, in their industry?
Just be who you are. It's about self-confidence in yourself. People won't always encourage you or pat you on the back, and you have to learn how to encourage yourself. So each morning, you know, you have to look at yourself in the mirror, because you spend more time with you than anybody else, and say, you know, I know that I can do this. I know that you know, I have some talents. I bring something to the table. I'm relevant. So it's about encouraging yourself.
So did you do self-affirmations in the morning when you got up? Really?
Yes, I do that.
And you still do
that. Because I think that when you wait for someone else to congratulate you or pat you on the back, you'll be waiting, and then you'll start comparing yourself, and usually comparison breeds discontentment. So I don't compare myself. I'm Vera Bumpers, and I'm going to be the best Vera that I can be. I'm going to do what I do and not look at anybody else.
Where did this self-confidence come from?
I think from my mother. I saw my mom go back to school when she was probably in her 50s and get her college degree. And she started out as what they call a domestic engineer when I was growing up. But she never allowed what she did to define who she was. She knew she had a family and she had to support, and my dad also. And so they always just showed that strength, that inner strength, that don't allow people to define who you are or your situation or your circumstances. Continue to try to grow and be a better person, and don't allow the ignorance of others to be a stumbling block.
Vera, it's okay to call you Vera,
yes,
right?
It is.
Chief Bumpers. I know that you had some stories when you were growing up that really were stories of racism and discrimination. and I read about it in that article. Can you tell me a little bit about that, so just to help us understand where you came from?
Okay, it was when I was younger. Well, originally my family is from Alabama, so my dad was transferred to Texas, San Antonio, and I was young then in elementary school. So we traveled back and forth a lot because all of our family was in Alabama. So I got to see some things that as a child that probably young people now read about or see on the big screen.
You would be on road trips and
Right.
wouldn't be able to go to the restroom because,
Right.
and your dad would come back and say, sorry, we can't go in. And did they ever tell you why, or you just thought it was occupied?
They never said why. I just would watch. He would leave us in the car and go and say, my family needs to use the restroom, and they'd say no. And he'd come back and say, we can't use it here, and he'd drive to the next place. And I'm asking, like most kids,
I gotta
why?
go, I gotta go.
Why?
Right,
You know, like,
right.
And are we there yet? Are we at a place where we can use the restroom yet? But he never went into any detail, and he would just tell me, you don't understand. And I would say, why can't we go in? He said, you don't understand. And so he said, you know, there are some people that are just not very smart, or he'd say they're ignorant. So, but he never really talked about racism or called it racism. And it wasn't until I was in school, elementary school really, that studying history, and when we started to talk about slavery and all the inequities that went on in the 50s and 60s, that I realized, oh, okay, that's what I experienced.
But your parents were trying to protect you from that.
They tried to protect us from that.
Okay, we need to take a little break right now, Vera, but when we come back, we'll have more. She'll tell us tips for young people, how they can become successful. We'll be right back.
We're powering possibilities, and in Houston, we are moving at the speed of light.
We're back with Chief Vera Bumpers, who has worked her way to the top over 30 years at Metro to Metro's new Chief of Police. Chief Bumpers has some tips for young people who want to be successful. So as the first African American and as the first female to be Chief of Police, what sort of tips would you give other young people?
I would tell them to write your vision down and put it somewhere where you can see it all the time, and remind yourself, this is my vision, this is what I want to do in life, this is where I want to go, and then have your bullet points of this is how I plan to get there. Go to school, make good grades, go to college, understand why you're majoring in something, research it before you just choose a major, and make sure that's a fit for you. You have to understand this is your future and not anybody else's. And I know people will give you advice and tell you different things, but you have to, this has to be something that you embrace.
Did you do this when you were a kid?
I did not to that extent,
Okay.
because I never put down I want to be a police officer or police chief. What I did do when I was younger is that I knew that I wanted to go to college. I knew that I wanted to help people.
So that's part of your staying focused,
Yes.
right? Let me ask you this, you know, over 30 years in one place, you navigate a lot of tricky waters, politics, in any office. There's always like that. It's always like that. What advice would you give someone? How do you navigate that, and how do you stay, out of the fray, and stay focused?
I would say, don't carry a trash can around with you. When people bring you the negative, you just let them know, I don't carry a trash can, and I'm not a receptacle.
That's very,
Okay.
That's
and
good.
So,
so don't even listen
don't
to
even
the
listen
negative.
to it. It's very important what you allow to be spoken to you, what you choose to digest. If it's negative, usually, as we know, whatever goes in, that's what's coming out. And you have to avoid engaging in the negatives and stay in this a positive environment, a positive frame of mind. And that's where the affirmation comes from. And that's where the listening to positive, and make yourself accountable to people. Just if you hear me saying something negative, tell me.
Vera, what are your goals for the police department here at Metro? What's your vision here for the department?
Just for us to continue to be the great organization that we are. We have a great group of supervisors and officers at Metro Police, and we have been standing for a long time, not just me, but the men and women here. And we've stood for professionalism, we've been committed, we've been cooperative, I think, and we've been focused on the goal of Metro providing the best law enforcement service to our internal and external customers. And my vision is that it's 3 C's, that we continue to communicate, definitely have open communication, that we're cooperative no matter what the situation, we're transparent and cooperative, and that we're committed. We're committed to providing professional service.
Let's talk about the communication. One thing you started is the meet and greet.
Yes.
Meeting you. Tell me
Yes.
about those.
Every quarter we will be going to a different Metro facility. It could be a park and ride lot, transit facility, it can be a bus stop area. But we're committed to go out and meet
And you'll
our
be out there?
And I will be out there.
Okay.
We're committed to go out and meet our customers and let them know who we are, what we do, and just to give a survey to ensure that we're providing the best law enforcement services. There may be something that we haven't thought about that they may want to write down and share with us, even any complaints of problems in an area. We want to know about that also, and we're pushing, see something, say something.
Now, the first one you did was at the the Texas Medical Center, is that right?
Yes, and we partnered with Harris County Psychiatric Center, where our officers brought out puzzles, socks, things that they could give to the patients, and they were very appreciative of that, and we want to continue to partner with them. So we want to make sure that we give back. That's just a part of us giving back.
Vera, one thing that Metro is doing is system reimagining, redesigning all the local bus routes to make it easier and simpler to use. How will that affect what MPD does?
Our deployment strategy will be aligned with the system reimagining to ensure that we're continuing to provide great law enforcement services to our customers. We're excited about the changes. It's going to be better for our customers, so anything that improves their transit ride is a good thing.
Very good. And what's the best thing you like about your new job as police chief?
I think the best thing that I like about it is meeting new people.
Okay, great. Well, now they can all meet you through this video.
Right.
Thank you so much for being
Okay,
with us.
thank you.
That's all for this edition of Metro Matters. Be sure to join the conversation on our blog at ridemetro.org. Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. I'm Mary Sitt. Thanks for watching.